example, a few months ago, I spent 7 days in pitch darkness, isolation, and silence. Like, it's called a darkness retreat. Just
dark
complete
therapy.
Darkness. Dark therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Cool.
know, like, yeah, exactly. But this was like, you know,
I want to do that.
In the darkness, there's going to be nothing to do. There's nothing.
I want to know about this darkness retreat. What was going on with that?
The one that I did was 5 nights and 4 days. And essentially it's like just a bed, a little yoga mat, a little like meditation cushion thing, a bathtub, which is very nice, and then like a very small little like cubicle of a bathroom. And you go in and you have like, you blow out a little candle at night, and then you're like, poof, we're in.
20 seconds to go in the half. Rodgers takes the snap, blitz on. Rodgers under pressure, lets it go over the right side. Got it!
Aaron Rodgers, he is getting ready to go into his 4-day darkness retreat.
I was going in the dark to figure out if I'm going to play or not play.
You know, I think a lot of people are, when I tell them about this, they're a little scared of the process of being in the dark. It's a funny thing to be frightened of your own mind, frightened of the dark. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to go in the darkness was so that I could meet my mind head on.
For me, it felt like kind of like a rite of passage.
It's a space where there's no acknowledgement. No one's acknowledging your existence or affirming your existence or like encouraging you or applauding you, or there's no one giving you anything. And it really shows us how much we get our sense of self from others.
That is the definition of deafening silence.
Not anymore.
That is incredible! Are you kidding me? Do you see this?
You can't run, you can't hide. You have to sit there with it, all of it. Whew. A lot of people don't want to sit with their own thoughts or sit with themselves. A lot of people were saying, I don't know how I would do it. Be alone with myself. I can't be alone with myself. Yes, you can. That's where you truly find you.
This is where I'm going to be staying. So you walk down, there's a little wood burning oven that they're going to light every night. And then this is where I'm going to be, in here. You walk in, got a nice big bed. Little meditation spot, bathtub, bathroom, I guess a fence that I don't burn myself accidentally in the dark. And then this is where the food comes in. So once a day they come up and they deliver food in there. And that's my breathing hole. No mirror. Guess you don't need that. Oh, and then the light switch has a cover on it so you don't accidentally turn it on when you walk by. That would be kind of jarring, I guess. Yeah. So that's where I'm gonna be for the next 5 days.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Is it okay connection? I'm in the wilderness.
Oh my god.
Hi Goose. It's Dada. Hi.
I miss you. What are you watching? Yeah, you can watch more. I just wanted to say hi to you, and then I wanted to also say bye to you because I won't talk to you for a few days. I'm in the forest far away. Look, there's a river there. I was in the airport and then I flew all the way over to this big forest. And now I'm gonna be in the forest for a few days.
Do you feel okay? Do you feel like ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous. That's for sure.
Do you
It's
have
like
a plan, or are you just gonna see what you want to do?
I mean, Scott was telling me that his advice and what he does when he goes in is for the first few days he tries to be as lazy as humanly possible. Like sleep as much as he wants, like don't do anything.
Yeah.
Don't try to tell yourself you need to do anything. Just like recover, and like a huge part of the treatment is just like rest. So I'm in there and from Saturday night until Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then I get out Friday morning. So around this time on Friday, I will be out again.
That's fine.
That's the longest we've ever not talked together.
Yeah, I mean...
For 12 years.
I gotta check the time there, but...
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that like they will just keep me so busy that I won't.
I'm sure that's gonna be the case. I think it'll be more for me, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I already had some weird dreams and stuff.
Oh no.
I made the stupid mistake of watching a terrifying horror film on a plane yesterday.
Oh no.
You know that film Smile? Oh my god, do not watch the trailer for that.
Viv saw an airplane out the window in the car, and he's like, I saw Becca on that airplane.
Oh.
Did? And he was like, he waved to me.
Oh.
I was like, he did? And then Pipey went, me too. And he went, no, he not waved to you.
Oh
I was
god.
Like, oh. I was holding him. And he went, I really love you.
Oh.
We just sat watching the waves together. They were really crashing. It was crazy. Yeah, it was just a really sweet little moment after I'd been so really sad that he was like, not.
Yeah.
Like, not okay.
But he's okay now. Yeah.
It's just hard because he doesn't let it go. He just keeps saying, you know what he told me? He said, I'm a chocolate guy. And he goes, but I'm also a sad guy.
Oh god.
I know. He said, I'm a sad guy. He said, missing Dada. And I was like, I know. It's really weird. Like, you going away and this.
Yeah.
Things, you know, I just expect, oh, you're going away. Like, it's.
Yeah.
But it's different each time because he's different. And.
Yeah.
He just was kind of a sad guy. He wasn't crying or anything. It was just a fact. You know, he said
Yeah.
it. I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's nice to see we had such a good day. He's adjusting so quickly that I can see that, like, you know, he's fine.
Good.
It's just like a really sudden change that he didn't really expect. So.
Yeah.
But it'll be okay.
Good.
It'll be okay.
And then I'll come back.
Yeah. Okay, bye, Shadow.
I love you.
Bye. I love you so much.
Bye, Pipey. I love you.
Bye.
Tata loves you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Pipey. Alright. I'll hang up. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Can we actually angle your chair that way, basically where it is, but just angled right at this rock. That's perfect. Yeah. Great, thanks.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's awesome.
My name is Scott, and here we are in Southern Oregon, outside Ashland, at our Darkness Retreat Center on 400 acres. A couple months ago, someone went in, and while they were in there, they were like, I'm feeling anxious and so much negativity. And like I had so much depression and negativity in my life, and then I found New Age spirituality and plant medicine, and I've been practicing positivity and being positive for the last 10-15 years. I'm scared that if I accept and include this negativity, that it's not going to go away. And that tends to be a common theme for a lot of people, that there's a fear that if I accept and include this, it's not going to change. It's just going to consume me. What people find is that when they actually authentically open and include it without wanting it to change, that it creates space for it to be, and then it just changes. And there was a woman who came almost a year ago, had chronic depression for years, and she came, and one of the nights I was like, how's it going in there? And she said, I'm afraid that if I accept this depression, it's just never going to go away. And I asked her, what if it never goes away? How do you want to orient and relate to it if this is going to be with you forever? Then I went up the next night, and she was so happy. She had accepted it, like authentically brought it in. And she's just like, the moment I did that, it changed. Like the moment I brought it in, I realized that it was okay to feel this way, and that there's space around it, and it's not all that I am. And there was another woman in here a couple weeks ago, and everyone's structured so differently. We start to see some commonalities. And she had a lot of spiritual structures of how she organizes herself and her world. And she said on the third or fourth day, she couldn't hold up the discomfort anymore, because she was doing breath work and meditation and prayer and all these different ways of like keeping this weight that was like crushing her up. And she said finally it just crushed her. And she said it shattered all my structures into all these pieces that I could then look at. And she said for the first time she was able to see and acknowledge that she resented her dad, and she resented all men because of that. But before that, her structures wouldn't allow her to show resentment, because that's a negative emotion. And in our spiritual world, resentment's bad. You don't resent people. So it's like she was able to see all these structures that she held were insulating her from feeling negative emotions. Now in some world or some way of seeing things, that's seen as positive. Like just be positive, or just don't do this, or don't, all these things. But on some level, they may create ways of coping and insulating and dissociating from feeling what's really present. And she said, I came to see that some of my spiritual structures, like everything's meant to be and everything's perfect, she said, I see that even that I was using as a way of insulating myself from discomfort. Something would happen and I'd be like, it's meant to be, right, and I wouldn't actually feel the pain of it. So I was bypassing through my spirituality and not even knowing that I was using that as a coping mechanism. And so there's all these interesting ways that we cope. And in the darkness, some of them get exposed. And the more willing we are to not know, right? When people go in with their structures of this is how I am, and if there's just a like, I don't know, I'm just opening, exploring, softening, and I'm not going to value one experience as more important or more worthy than another. If we're valuing, I mean, and it's going to naturally happen, but to what degree we're valuing this like ecstatic cosmic experience over discomfort, then when discomfort comes, we're going to be pushing it away. And when the ecstatic experience comes, we're going to be holding on. But if we really explore, why do we want that ecstatic experience? Is it so that we feel worthy? So that we feel safe? So that we feel good about ourselves? But that's going to come and that's going to go. And so, is there a way to connect to the heart of worth, of security? Where is that born from? I think it was Suzuki Roshi also said the most important thing is finding out what is the most important thing. And so getting honest with ourselves of what that is, and then when we're ready to go cope or do something different, asking ourselves why. And then if the two don't align, I'm doing this because of this, but what I said I really want is this. And so if all we get out of it is we get really clear on what we want, then we're going to actually get closer to getting what we want. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's all I've got.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
So it's been 24 hours now. Scott just came by with the food. I was really surprised to hear him come in because I did not know what time it was. I think I've been asleep for pretty much 20 hours of the last 24 hours. So I guess I was a little confused. And then I was awake for like a couple hours. I got up and had some food. I was definitely an emotional 2 hours, even though I wasn't awake for very long. I was missing my family a lot. But as I was advised multiple times, I should try to not let me rephrase it. I should try to accept whatever emotions arise, not as good or as bad, just as the emotion that was arising. So I tried to do that, and that actually really worked. I didn't, instead of trying to like distract myself from what I was feeling, I just felt it, and then it would kind of peak, and then it would just mellow out, and didn't feel so bad. I did get up to have a snack in between all of my naps that I've been having, and I realized that there was some sliced apples in one of the containers, one of the food containers, and while I was eating them, I just suddenly burst out crying, like a lot. And I realized it was because this was like the first time anyone had given me sliced apples since I was like a boy, and my dad made me a snack. And I just kept crying. I just could not stop. It's definitely a weird experience to be so like raw vulnerable. And just those 4 hours that I was awake was they're almost like endless, because there's nothing going on. But I've managed to memorize how to turn this audio recorder on and off and start it without looking. So right now I'm wearing a blindfold, just in case any of the light from the buttons were to, if I accidentally open my eyes. So that's not happening. So we're past the 48-hour mark by quite a bit, actually. Last night, it's the morning of the 3rd day right now. But last night, when it was the 48-hour mark, I was just so frustrated and angry that I couldn't be bothered to record anything. So now I got a bit of catching up to do here in terms of trying to capture what's going on. So yesterday started out pretty good, actually. I'll tell you how I thought things went, and then I'll tell you what actually happened after. So I went to bed, I think around 7 p.m., a little bit after the food had been delivered, and I felt like I slept a full night and woke up probably around like 6 or 7. I've slept 12 hours the first day, so I figured I'd probably slept the same amount. I stayed in bed for a while and had some time to think. I actually had a lot of really, I would call them like breakthroughs. I thought a lot about my family. I missed them a lot. I thought a lot about Phoebe. That's kind of who I thought the most about all of yesterday. I just thought about, just how lucky I am to have her, and how much I've taken for granted in the past, and just how much more I want to acknowledge her and celebrate her. And it just felt so overwhelming that I had to make a movie about her. I know it sounds so dramatic, but that's the only thing I could think about all of yesterday, was that the next movie I make is going to be about her. It's just going to be a movie about her, for her. I want to tell our story, our love story, and I want to call it My Love. And I think it's going to be great. I have a lot more to talk about with that, but after that, I went and I sat down on my little cushion to have some breakfast, which is always like an emotional thing for some reason. There's something about the safety of being in bed that is like okay, but as soon as I like get up and put clothes on, it just feels like very lonely, and I get kind of sad. So eating is always kind of an emotional thing. So the first day it was the apples that kind of set me off. Today it was the tea. And I had had the tea the night before, but I didn't realize kind of what it was reminding me of. And I smelled it when I was drinking it, and it just instantly reminded me of, again, being like a little boy and being sick and having stayed home from school, and my mom making me chamomile tea. I never would drink tea normally. I would only drink it when I was sick. So I just was like brought back to that, and I was very like emotional about it. Not in like a, I
don't know, not like a happy or a sad, just kind of like a, there's something emotional about being suddenly so, you're just like thrown into a memory, like it's so dramatic going from not thinking about anything like that at all to suddenly you are just right there. I can see where I was, I can like picture what I was doing, I can even like imagine the kind of movies that I would have watched with the tea. It's just like, just reminds you of a time that doesn't exist anymore, and I guess there's something nostalgic and I guess a little bit sad about that. What else? So then after breakfast, I went back to bed. Again, I've been following Scott's advice of trying to be as lazy as possible for the first 2 days at least. Not really doing anything. So up until now, it's the morning of the third day. I haven't done a single workout, a single stretching session, a single breathing session, no yoga, nothing. I haven't done a cold plunge. I haven't done anything, which has been really challenging, but also I could see why it's useful to do it that way. I think in the beginning, it's really good to get used to how your mind is working differently. Well, I guess not differently, it's working the same as it always has been, but it's just very obvious because there's nothing to distract yourself from it. And if you were to try to distract yourself already in the beginning, you're going to miss out on what's actually going on. So I think doing it this way and saving some of those activities for the second half of this experience has really been useful. But anyways, back to yesterday. I then went back to bed. I fell asleep. Felt like I slept for a while. I woke up and was hungry again, so I was like, okay, it must be lunchtime now. So I had the rest of my food, and then I went back to bed again. I know it sounds crazy how much I've been sleeping. And I fell asleep again, each time with like super vivid dreams. If I thought about it for a minute, I could probably remember what it was. Nothing that's like been profound or anything, just like very vivid, abstract. Yeah, dreams. And then, I thought, okay, it must be afternoon. Only a couple hours until dinner arrives, and that's a wrap on day 2, and I was feeling really good about myself. And that's when I went to the bathroom, and on the way to the bathroom, I just decided to kind of stick my hand through the metal cage that protects me from the wood-burning oven to feel it, and it was still hot. And that thing only gets lit once a day. When Scott comes with the food, he lights it, and it burns, and I can hear it. I can hear it because the door to it is on the outside of the room, but the actual like oven itself is in here. Obviously it doesn't emit any light or anything, but all the heat gets pushed into this room. So when it's on, you can really feel the heat radiating, but it burns out in like definitely around 2 hours. That's when the sounds of the wood aren't there anymore, and it just kind of is still warm. And by morning, it's usually cold again. At least it was the first day. And I have a wood-burning oven at home. I know that when I light it at night and then I come back the next morning, the metal is usually like pretty neutral to the touch. It's not hot anymore. It's not warm, at least. But when I walked by, it was still hot. So suddenly I was like, wait a minute. What time is it? I thought it was like maybe 4 in the afternoon. Scott comes at 5 or 6. But if it's still hot, like it was hot, it wasn't just like warm, it was like I couldn't really hold my hand on it much longer. It must have meant it was literally like 12 hours earlier than that. And that threw me into like a little bit of a panic, because here I was thinking I had finished the second day. You know, it's an intense and overwhelming experience, so it's kind of natural to be counting down the days somewhat, as much as I'm leaning into the experience and trying to go with it. It's also, there's an element of like wanting it to be over. So when that realization happened, I kind of freaked out and became obsessed with trying to figure out and calculate what time it was. I tried to think about how many dreams I'd had when I went to sleep. How long did I really stay awake before eating breakfast? How long did I eat breakfast for? How long did it take me to fall asleep again? Did I have 1 or 2 dreams? And I was just trying to calculate and calculate. I could not figure it out. But now I know that from that time to when Scott actually came with the food, it felt like literally like 2 days. I felt like I was sitting in here waiting for 2 days for that day to end, when really I thought I only had 2 hours left. So it must have literally been like morning, just starting to be morning, when I realized that it wasn't afternoon. So that just kind of shows you how confusing it is in here. So the jet lag must have meant that I went to sleep at 7 and only had a nap. I might have woken up like at 9. At 9, I woke up thinking it was morning. Probably had breakfast at like 11 p.m. at night, thinking it was the morning. Then went to sleep and had a nap, and had lunch at something like 2 a.m. So it meant that I became super obsessed yesterday, as in like locked into a thought pattern of like, I was just trying to listen out. If I could hear a car approaching outside, which I know I can't, but I was still trying to hear it. I thought I heard car doors closing like 50 times, but no one ever came. And I decided, like, I was so sure that it must almost be time now, like any minute now, it must be dinner time, which means I can eat dinner, I can have my hot bath, which is like the only externally comforting thing, and then I could go to bed and it would be like officially the start of day 3, which feels like progress. But that moment just never came. But I was so convinced that it was almost there that I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to fall asleep, because if I fell asleep and then got woken up when the food was delivered, it would make it harder to fall asleep for the night. So I was up for so long. I was up for probably like 12 hours just sitting in here. And I just started to, it was so stupid. I should have just gone to sleep, because I was so tired. I was like falling asleep, but I was like, no, don't fall asleep, because then you will fuck up the rest of the night, and then you'll just have another day like this where you're confused about what time it is. I also didn't want to go under the blankets, because that would make me fall asleep and get like warm. And so I was lying on top of the blankets, and I was cold and like stiff. It was just absolutely terrible. I really had a lot of doubts about why I was here, why I was doing this. I thought about maybe coming out a day early. I thought about all sorts of things. The food finally came. I told Scott kind of what had been going on, and he, could tell that I was in a little bit of distress, so he was very calm and told me about, when I get some food and go back to sleep. Because I told him I was super tired. He said, when you're kind of drifting off to sleep, try and focus on, if you want to, that there may feel like there are a bunch of thoughts going on at the same time, but if you really think about it, there's only one thought, and then another, and then the next. There is no point where there's ever actually 2 thoughts going on at the same time. And then he asked me to try to notice the space in between the thoughts. So that's what I've been doing this morning. 72 hours in. Today was a lot of ups and downs. Definitely the best day so far. I did breathing first thing in the morning, which was really, really nice. It just was very familiar. I got really emotional in the beginning. I feel like that's all I've been saying is I got really emotional. I just was imagining suddenly, for a brief moment, I forgot where I was, and I imagined that I was at home again, doing the breathing where I normally do it in my room, and that I could just stop and go down and see my kids, but I couldn't. But then it became more empowering. It's definitely intense in here. I laughed to myself today, which was the weirdest thing. I don't even remember what it was that was so funny, but I was like genuinely laughing. Yeah. I cried a lot. I even sang, I think, to try and soothe myself a little bit, which kind of worked. And then in the afternoon, I had some crazy visuals. It was like the whole room was just moving around, and all these like patterns were forming, and it wasn't super bright, but it was definitely, happening. So I kind of just looked at that for what felt like a couple hours. I also meditated for a while. Scott had told me to try to become aware of the space in between thoughts, and I feel like I actually did that really well. I was surprised at how long those spaces sometimes were. And Scott, he just delivered the food, and I asked him if it would be okay if I came out 24 hours earlier than planned, so on Thursday morning instead of Friday morning. I said that I felt like having made that decision had made the days that I am still here more manageable, not so overwhelming. It kind of allowed me to settle into the experience a little bit more, instead of being all like panicky and kind of freaked out on the second day especially. And he said that was absolutely no problem. He thought that was a great idea. And we're going to confirm tomorrow night just to make sure that that's actually what I want. All right, good night. Okay, it's the morning of the 4th day. I don't know exactly what time it is. A lot of like intense dreams. One about escaping a school that was burning and trying to help people, and then escaping in a helicopter and being hunted down and having missiles shot at us. And it's very dramatic. Not like super scary, just like intense. Another one was kind of actually scary. This one was, had a dream that we were staying in this, meaning me and my kids and my grandma for some reason. We're staying in a little caravan out in nature, and we had a dog, and the dog saw that a lion had attacked some kind of animal, and so the dog decided to run after it and try to scare the lion away. But when it got out there, suddenly there were these like 3 or 4 meter tall hyenas that were like bigger than horses, that were just there and chasing it. And then it started to run back towards us, and we were like, no, go away. And this fucking gigantic pack of hyenas was suddenly coming towards our house, and I had to run and grab my kids and bring them inside. I had to literally throw them inside to be able to close the door on time. And then these hyenas were trying to get in, and it turned pretty violent. I had to like kill them with a bread knife. So anyways, I've got another 24 hours before I get to go out. I would be lying if I said I was not extremely excited about that. I feel like this has been very challenging. I was thinking this morning that it really feels like some kind of like self-induced depression that I've put myself in. Like a controlled, self-imposed depression where you're just faced with all of your negative emotions and thoughts, and you can't distract yourself from them, and then they just kind of go away temporarily, and then they come up a bit later. So you're just in this like cycle of feeling bad and then feeling okay, and then feeling bad and then feeling okay, and then maybe feeling really happy at one point. It's kind of bizarre because it also, at the same time, it doesn't feel that bad. Like the worst moments haven't been that bad. It's just that it's like constant. So I think that's definitely something I'm going to take from this, is that what I normally perceive to be really like tough and difficult and that causes me to feel depressed and down, those moments really aren't that bad. I just let myself think they are, or try to hide from it, that it grows, instead of just like accepting it and feeling it, and then it passes. Like very consistently it passes. Another reason why it feels like a self-imposed depression is like even the smallest things feel like a big fucking deal. Like there's so much effort that has to go into it. Like I don't feel like doing anything. Like I thought I would want to do yoga and work out and breathe and do all these things, but I just cannot be bothered. Like I just don't feel like doing anything. Even grabbing this microphone was like a 30-minute back and forth. Oh, should I do it now, or should I wait a little? Should I do it now? So I'm counting on, pretty optimistic, that I'm gonna get some energy when I come back out. I think it was Jim Carrey who said that depression, to be depressed, is to need deep rest. Deep rest is to be depressed. And I'm definitely getting deep rest in here. So maybe that'll mean that when I come out, I'll be ecstatic. That would be nice, because I definitely haven't been ecstatic while being in here. I think I got close to it when I was doing my breathing. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that yesterday I did the exercise that I've been wanting to do of trying to go through my entire life from my first memory until present. And that was actually really enjoyable. It was really surprising how much I could actually remember, and I realized very quickly that I can't take the time to think about everything I can possibly remember. That worked in the beginning because there weren't so many memories. But as soon as I got to like 8 years old, it was just like, there's too much, so I had to kind of just remember a few things and then move on. But I think I did it for like 3 or 4 hours. I'm definitely a little bit anxious about a whole nother day.
Okay, Matt. Ready for you. You're gonna have a little step down. Just gonna stay right there. Okay, now you're gonna take a step down. There you go. Nice. Okay. Okay, wait right there. Put the chin.
It's definitely weird to feel air. What, do you normally ask any questions? Or?
Just some people sit with their mask on for a bit, and then some people just take it off right away.
I think I'll sit with it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your night last night?
I think I was almost on like a high. Like, I struggled to fall asleep. And then I think I woke up really early because I was excited about today. Which made the last couple hours a little bit challenging compared to what felt like a really good day yesterday.
What made it a good day yesterday?
That it didn't feel like I was waiting for time to pass. It just felt like I was very, very present. About as present as I've felt I've ever been before. Like where sometimes I was actively thinking, and sometimes I felt like I wasn't thinking at all. And it didn't matter which one it was. It still felt like I was very like present about it, even when I was thinking. So it just felt like a very like smooth, yeah, just like calm feeling. Whereas today I think I was also just very like nervous about coming out again. I don't know if other people have that.
Yeah. Like birth, huh?
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Imagine how insane it is for a baby who has no context.
No, can't imagine that at all. I was thinking so much about what I wanted to like say to capture what this was like, and it's like very hard to put into words. Word that came to mind was it's like incredibly humbling. Like very, very humbling to go through that, to be by yourself in the dark, in the silence for 115 hours without any distractions made it impossible to not be completely honest with myself. Any identity or priority or value that I would have had outside of that, as in outside of these 4 days, could exist without being questioned, because I would have distractions to not fully go into what
that meant. But in here, everything was questioned, and there was like no room for any bullshit or lies. It just felt like everything was stripped down to the complete truth. So there was a lot of adjusting that I had to do. So in the beginning, in the first 2 days, I felt like it was just this crazy experience. I mean, the first day I pretty much slept the whole time, so that went by very quickly. But even those hours that I was awake, I was like, whoa, I don't know about this. Like, this is almost too much. And I was really questioning, like, why I was here, why did I do this? Why did I come all this way? And then the second day, I felt like I had to, like, do a lot of, what's the right word here? Oh yeah, the word that came to mind was like repenting almost. I'm not religious, but I felt very like strongly that I had to make up for things that I've done, or ways that I've been, and thoughts that I've had, and priorities that I've had and not had. So I felt like I was doing a lot of like, if you just let me get through this, I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'll change these things about myself. So I thought, okay, I've figured something out, because that feels like some progress, is like something has happened as a result of coming here and doing this. But then on the third day, all that just changed again. So not that I haven't got a lot out of questioning some of my values, but on the third day it all just like dissolved into, what does that even mean? Like, I feel like I've spent so much of my life trying to be liked by everyone around me, and do things and perform and achieve and succeed in a way that I will be liked and loved and approved of and be worthy. And I just realized that, well, there's two parts to it. First, I realized that my wife and my kids, they love me just for who I am, so why am I doing all this stupid stuff to try and impress others? It just felt so insignificant for so long, that had ever been a goal of mine. And so the big shift that really happened was that for me, I realized that the most important thing is the love that I have for my family, and that's not just more than enough, it's everything. And everything else is totally secondary. Whereas I think I genuinely, for some parts of my life in recent years, have valued other things even just close to as much as that. Not necessarily more, but even just close to it. So I've been able to, in moments, think that work was somehow important, or any of that stuff, like physical achievements, being able to do certain things. And it's not that I don't want to do any of those things anymore, it's just that there's such a big difference now in what the priority is. So it's like, at all costs, family is first, and then everything's gonna be fine. I think that was once I got that, it was almost like I relaxed into the experience, and the thoughts that you shared with me as well really helped to settle into the time that I was in there for, instead of, that's also a big reason why I wanted to come out a day early, was because I know that that last day was really just my ego saying that I wanted to be able to do a certain amount of time in there, which I could have, but I felt like I don't need to prove anything to anyone. So why not just come out when it feels right?
Beautiful. It takes a lot of courage. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking it's time to take this thing off.
Yeah. I'm ready for you.
Oh God. I feel like part of me is imagining that the whole world is going to be like moving like this when I take it off.
That's pretty accurate.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. That's crazy. Oh. Oh. That is overwhelming. Holy shit. Oh my God. Whew. Wow. And it's sunny as well. Ah. That lives up to it. Wow. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Mm. I wondered if I would get emotional. Wow, it's so weird. It's like my eyes don't know what to do. They're like trying to focus. Oh, like that is unlike anything else. How many times have you done this?
7 different times.
What's the longest you've been in?
10 days.
Wow.
I was gonna go in for 21 days in a couple weeks, but yeah, things changed.
What changed?
I'm not. I feel 100% that longer's not deeper. Like that's clear. I feel like longer may be deeper at a certain point for someone. Once one has maybe become familiar with the process. Yeah, it kind of felt arbitrary. Like it was like, I'm gonna do 21 days, because I kind of, at that moment I decided, I was like, well, I'm gonna be holding this container, like I should have some longer experiences in here. But that's shifted because I actually, what you were able to do, a lot of people aren't able to do. I think more and more it's happening because of the way that we're holding it, but a lot of people would, some people, like the thing that moves them in is like this masculine, like I'm gonna do it, this is my goal. But when we're like you said, when we're fixed on some totally arbitrary, unimportant goal, we miss really what's most important.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? Was that the first time that you've touched stillness?
No. No, it's not the first time. There's a very clear experience that I've had where I was training for my Ironman, and I was doing these long bike rides in the middle of winter in the dark, because I would do it after work. And so I'd be out for 4 or 5 hours by myself, and one day, like, these were literally the worst experience. Like, they sucked so bad. They just hurt. Like, I'd come home and my feet were literally like purple, and I would throw up from the pain, not because I was tired. But one time I went and I listened to The Power of Now for the outward journey, and then I turn around and come back, and something just like changed in my experience. I'd already read the book, but I was listening to it on audiobook for the first time, and on the way back I wasn't listening to anything, and I just felt like I could see myself from this like bird's eye view while I was feeling pain and going through those things, but I didn't like associate with it, and it just felt like I was observing it happening, but it wasn't affecting me. Like, I didn't mind, and I felt like I could just I felt like I could have kept going in that state, and I feel like I definitely tapped into something similar in there, where it felt like I was aware of discomfort, but it didn't bother me. There's definitely a unique element, though, that I hadn't felt before, which was just this, yeah, I mean, you're good at that little talk every night. That really makes a difference. That ability to think about the space in between thoughts, and then eventually that space is also there during the thoughts, was very rewarding, because it was challenging, and then suddenly it just was like, wait, there it is, and it's still there. Oh, it's still there. And I felt like time is so weird, so I don't know how long I was feeling that for. It wasn't, for sure, not the whole time, but for good chunks of time I felt like I was just like, there it is. Shifted from waiting to just being there. But I didn't. If I knew what that was like before doing it, I don't think I would have done it, because it was that intense. Yeah, I mean, I would, in a couple of days I would, I would have, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like repenting. Yeah, like I felt like I was dying, and I had to like do something to make it okay, and that got pushed through like fully. So yeah, it was there was stillness, but there was also, and one thing we haven't talked about was there's also a lot of like crazy like not movement literally, but like just erratic, almost like panic, like anxiety, where you were just suddenly like, oh god, this is gonna stay here for so long, especially in the beginning.
It's fascinating how it all just works. And then, yeah, I think a lot of people find that forgiveness is like a theme at some point in there. It's just like, you just feel miserable, like you just have to you have to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Whatever I did. Yeah.
And letting go of resentments too.
Yeah.
We're just like, whatever. I don't want to suffer anymore.
Yeah, it's literally like, whatever, I'll do anything. That's very accurate. Yeah, I thought a lot about my dad, actually. On the first day, there were some apples, sliced apples. And that was the first time I've been served sliced apples by anyone, I think, since I was a little boy, and my dad would make that for me as a snack. And I just like burst out crying, and I was like, I miss my dad, and I like pictured being small and like crawling up and just like wrapping around him and him holding me. And that's exactly the feeling that I have with my son. And it was just like very, very strong and yeah, very emotional. Like I really like just this overwhelming feeling of like I miss that. And then the next day it was the tea. The tea smelled like exactly like the tea that my mom used to have around Christmas time. And I was just like the tea. And I never used to drink tea at all, except when I was sick. She would make me that tea. So I was like, oh God. Just, yeah, I think the other thing is that it just makes you very, very grateful for all of those things. Yeah, which is in and of itself like worth the whole experience, if that was all you came out of it with, which a lot of things have that same feeling. Like, wow, if you go through something difficult, you've been grateful for what you have. That for sure happened here as well, and a lot of other things.
Compare and contrast the experience with plant medicine.
They're very unsimilar. They're very not the same. I'm trying to think of how they are similar. I guess they're similar in the sense that they open you, it opens you up. Like it makes you very vulnerable. I've never been so vulnerable in my life. Just like like the smallest thing would just affect me so much, both positively and negatively. Like I remember, like it's the obvious thing is like when you get sad, but there's also some things that like, oh, there was an extra carrot one day and I found it. I was like, oh, and I like laughed and I was like, wow, that's so funny that I find this funny. So just like very on edge, like right on the border of like almost insanity in a weird way. Yeah, you can relate.
Completely insane in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, but what makes it insane is it just because it's just so unusual.
Yeah.
Like it's because it's just so. I guess that's insane, right? Insane is just not ordinary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's similar in that sense, but it's also so different because it very much, there's nothing affecting you. It's like when you're, like with plant medicine, it's very clear that you're under the influence of something that you've ingested that's changing the way you think. Your thought patterns are shifted. There's new gateways that you haven't really been able to connect by yourself before. At least it feels that way. Whereas here it's like, no, it's still just you. Yeah, it's just you. Yeah, what you shared in the interview before going in about like there's nothing externally affecting how you're feeling. So what's up? It's like, wow, do I really dislike myself that much? That's like, is that really what's going on right now? Because I think that I like myself, but then why do I feel so uncomfortable with just being myself? So that was very impactful. Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Wow. I'm fine. We had already decided I would come out a day early on the first day. I just didn't have any way of telling you. So,
No, that's perfect.
yeah.
Okay.
Whew.
Oh my God. Wait, so how long have you been
I've been in
the light?
I've been in the dark for 5 days. I've been in the light for like 40 minutes.
Oh my God. Was it positive? Do you feel good?
Yeah, but it was like the craziest thing ever.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I felt like I was dying. Like, it was just the worst, but also so good at the same time. Like, anything hard, there's obviously always something good that comes with it. But, oh my God. How are you?
I'm okay.
That's all I care about.
I don't even know what to like ask you.
I don't even know.
Where do you even-
We'll talk when I get back. I think it's easier that way because it's just too overwhelming to try and get into.
Yeah.
Unless there's something you really want to know. Obviously, I'm not gonna like not tell you.
Were you like sad?
Yes.
Aww.
Not the whole time, but just like in waves. Yeah, for sure. It's basically just like I just kept feeling like I had done something wrong. Like, why am I here? Like, I wasn't confused or anything. It was kind of like, why am I here? What did I do wrong? Like, I felt like I was in like prison or in like some kind of fucking hell or something. Like,
yeah.
So I would get like sad because then I would be like, this isn't nice. This is uncomfortable. I mean, the thing that Scott said that just was so true was that it's basically like facing discomfort without any distractions. Like there's nothing you can do to not feel it. So what happens if you just allow yourself to fully feel it? What happens then? And that kind of became the goal, to like see what happens if I just, because I can't do anything about it. And the discomfort is kind of hard to explain, like loneliness, like homesick, just like everything, like little things. And then it just, I mean, the last 2 days have been really good, where I just kind of settled into this like very like Zen mindset of like, didn't feel like time was passing. Like I stopped feeling like I was waiting, and I felt like I was just like being there.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
That's so wild. I was conscious about how many times like I check the time and then thinking about you being like, you have no fucking clue what's going on right now.
No.
I'm like,
I like took a bath, it's like fucking midnight, I have no idea.